And we are live. Welcome, mystery and thriller fans. I'm your on-air host, Sara DiVello, and I am so excited to welcome tonight the incredible John Searles here to tell us in this very special pre-launch event all about his next book, Her Last Affair. John, welcome to Mystery and Thriller Mavens. Tell us about this book.
I will tell you about the book, but I will tell you a few things first because this is a pre-launch event. I haven't done many, and I don't have my ring light quite figured out. And I can see my ring light reflecting in my book cover in the background.
I
See,
didn't
that's
even notice that. That looks kind
yeah.
of cool, though.
But also, we've been staying. We have a little house out of town. We've been staying here since the start of the pandemic. Mainly, we live in New York City, but we kind of flat out here, and we don't have a fireplace here, but we have a very convenient DVD fireplace. Wait, there, I'm pointing the wrong way because my camera's reversed. But you see the fire on the TV?
I thought that was your fireplace. I thought it looked so cozy there.
Yeah, it's our televised fireplace. But we sort of like it. I don't know. We put it on. It gives a little like warm glow.
Oh my gosh,
So
yes.
I'm happy to be here and happy to see you. And I have to tell everyone, I was saying to Sarah right before we logged on, I was a few minutes late. My fault. Sorry. She's done 4 of these today. Lucy Foley, Walter Mosley, John Searles Lee. No, I feel really at the end. Who was the 4th?
Rhea Fry is coming on at 8.
Okay, so I'm your 3rd. All right.
You're my
Wow.
3rd.
So we have to give Sarah a lot of credit, everybody, for doing these. We all appreciate you so much for promoting our books, for promoting, in particular, mysteries and thrillers, and it's just an honor to be here. We had met
Yes.
like 5 months ago, maybe. We did an event with Kate White. Was that? I'm trying to
Yes.
remember.
Yes. You did an event with Kate White and McKenna Jordan, the owner and founder of Murder by the Book. And I immediately just fell in love with you, developed a huge crush on you, love your books, love you. And I texted McKenna and said, I have got to host his pre-launch event for Her Last Affair. I've got to have him.
Well, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. So yes, Her Last Affair comes out March 22nd. And I'll tell you about the book, but I'll also tell you we are doing a very exciting thing for the launch. We are having an event, an in-person event in New York City's Symphony Space with the incredible Amy Ryan, the Academy Award nominated actor. You know her from most recently Hulu's Only Murders in the Building with Steve Martin, Martin Short, Selena Gomez. She also was in The Office, Gone Baby Gone. She's an incredible actor because she's known for her stage work, her theater, her stage work, her TV work, and her film work. And so we're launching the book on March 22nd with a live in-person event, but we've also partnered with 40 indie bookstores around the country. And I sent McKenna an email about this, so hopefully McKenna will. But if you order from one of the participating 40 bookstores, indie bookstores, because we love indies, then you'll be given a unique access code to live stream the event as it's happening in New York City. So with Amy, and it's just going to be very fun, and I'm really excited about it. So, yeah, so I'm happy. It'll be nice to just be in a room full of book lovers, a theater full of book lovers, and then be sharing it with bookstores around the country. So I'm excited. So the book, you want to know about that? I just wish I could fix my lighting. I don't know, my ring light. Maybe I should talk like that.
You look fabulous. You look fabulous just as you are.
So, Her Last Affair. It is set at an old drive-in movie theater. You can see that on the cover, that little tattered screen in the corner. And it tells, it's a book about love and the power of love to impact our lives for good and bad. And it's a real puzzle piece of a novel because it's 3 seemingly separate storylines. You have the main narrator who opens the book, and she's a widow who owned the drive-in movie theater. It's called the Big Star Drive-In. She owned it with her husband. They ran it for 50 years. And then a few nights before their 50th anniversary, he dies in a freak accident. And she takes in a tenant, this charming British man named Teddy Cornwell. Then seemingly disconnected from her, 1,000 miles away, there's a woman named Linnell who's about to turn 50. She's in a really boring, kind of bad marriage, and just a dull marriage. And she gets an email from her very first love saying, I've been thinking about you for years. I've never forgotten you. And it's her only source of joy, connecting online with her very first love. And then there's a third character, a writer, kind of a failed writer, who gets an assignment to go back to Providence, Rhode Island, to cover a restaurant there, to write a review. And while he's there, he decides to look up his very first love, a woman who horribly broke his heart. So it's about three people seemingly disconnected. However, halfway through the book, through a series of plot twists, their lives become incredibly entangled, and the book becomes less a character study and much more of a thriller in terms of pacing and tone and style. And so it's kind of a mix of genres. And the way I describe it is three characters who each of them make a date with their past. Two of them with their very first love, and one of them, Skyla, the widow, makes a date with someone from her husband's life who she didn't know about until after he died. So that's a little bit to start the book. I don't know, was that too long of an answer? Too short?
No, you hooked us good, John. You hooked us good. Oh my gosh. I cannot wait to get into every delicious detail of these characters, of your writing process, of your amazing career. But first, I just want to welcome everyone. So we are streaming live to 6 different locations right now across Facebook and YouTube. So no matter where you're watching from, you are in the right place. This is the right time. And if you've been here before, you know how it works. If you're new, welcome. Here's how it works. This is your time to talk to this amazing author. So any questions for John about Her Last Affair, his writing process, his launch event, his career at Cosmo, we're going to get into that. The creme brulee story, we all need to hear that. There's a lot to talk about. Just get the questions going in the comments. I'll get them right over to him. Sharon is saying hi from Minnesota. Sharon, welcome to the conversation. Alan says, great job, Sarah. Thank you so much, sir. Wendy saying, Sarah, your crew loves you. Oh, Wendy, I love you guys. I have the best crew ever. Wendy saying, John, we are so glad you're here with us tonight. Melissa saying, good day, John and Sarah from Australia. Good day, Melissa. Good to have you as always. Thank you so much for tuning in. All right, so let's get right into the questions. So, John, you are earning amazing praise for this book. Congratulations. So, Laura Dave, the #1 New York Times bestselling author of The Last Thing He Told Me, calls this book, quote, a winner, tense and terrifying with a twist that you will never see coming. She says you won't forget these characters and the shocking way that their lives intersect. So let's start there. What an incredible review. How did you do that? So let's talk first about tense and terrifying. From a craft perspective, how do you make something tense, keeping us reading page after page, chapter after chapter late into the night? And how do you make it terrifying? Then we're going to get to the twist.
When I was first waiting tables, I was a waiter for 12 long years. I put myself through college and graduate school, and I wrote a book in graduate school at NYU. And I was trying to get an agent. I was getting a lot of rejections. And I met an editor at a publishing house who said, you don't need an agent, just send the manuscript to me. And so I sent it. And a few months later, the manuscript came back in a box, and it was basically a very polite letter like, thanks, didn't connect to the characters as much as I hope, best of luck. But I took the manuscript out of the box, and this little scrap of paper that I still have around here floated to the floor, and I picked it up, and it was an in-house note that was never meant for my eyes. It was mistakenly left in the manuscript from an in-house reader, and it said, and I quote, I could barely make it to page 60, and I feel really badly for anyone who has to read the whole thing.
Oh my God.
I know. I know. Ow, I took to my bed. It was very but anyway, I won't go into the whole saga of it, but basically I thought I'm never going to write it again. It's too painful. It's too hard. But then I did start writing just because I always loved to write ever since I was a little kid. And so this comes back to this book, and my sense of craft is I never want anyone to struggle to the page 60. I want people to be hooked from the very first page, first paragraph, first sentence. So this book starts with the sentence, every marriage has its secrets. And so I always try to create a question in the reader's mind that will pull them into the story. And that's how this book starts. Every marriage has its secrets. And while I'm very much aware of plot, and I really try to start with character first and what a person's thinking and what the questions are in their life. And in this case, it's this widow, Skyla Hull, who opens the book, who tells us about the secrets in her marriage and opens us up into this world of mystery that pulls the reader in.
Well, you have certainly perfected that, because number one, New York Times bestselling author Laura Dave is not the only one raving about this. Chris Bajalian, also a number one New York Times bestselling author of The Flight Attendant, which became the HBO series, also raving about this, saying a perfect page turning example of heart and horror that makes me love his work so very, very much. I mean, if someone said that about me, I would get it tattooed on my face. Like that would talk about the perfect review, the perfect blurb. So from that never meant to be seen by you note that the reader could barely drag his or herself to page 60 to a perfect page turning example of heart and horror. So says Chris Bajalian. How do you do it, John? How do you keep those pages turning?
I always have the reader in mind, and I always, like I said, I try to create questions in the reader's mind, and I have, Stephen King talks about in his book, you should on writing. He says should have your ideal reader in mind, and for him, his ideal reader is his wife Tabitha, and he says I picture her smiling at a part or maybe getting teary-eyed at a part. I always joke my ideal reader is some hot guy named Sven, maybe an Aspen. I don't know. But no, for real. But I'm only kidding. But I do think of readers and try to create a puzzle for them. And what's interesting with this book is because it's three seemingly separate storylines. At first, part of the experience for the reader is wondering how do they connect because they seem very separate. And I needed to say to the reader, trust me, these all come together. So I had this idea to open every chapter with a quote from a film that once played on the screen at the drive-in. That's the screen. I keep pointing to the screen at the drive-in. But so whether it's a classic like Casablanca or kind of more sinister fare like Psycho or The Shining or forgotten 80s fluff like Cannonball Run, these different films are quoted, and the quotes at the start of the chapter offer a clue to the reader about what's to come and about the mystery that lies ahead. So it lends a cohesion to these seemingly separate storylines. It was really fun to do that and to find the quotes that fit and that enhance the mystery.
So, as a huge movie buff, especially old movies, Casablanca being one of my favorites, I loved that touch because so many of us resonate with various movie moments. My husband and I always joke that 90% of our communication is quoting Ghostbusters back and forth to each other, the original one from the 80s, or Star Wars. And we all, because when you say something, it immediately pulls you into that moment. So, I loved how you did that. It was so perfect. George says he is laughing out loud at the idea of you picturing a hot guy named Sven. And, if there's any Sven watching, this could be for you. Debbie says she said, is there any horror in this book? Debbie would like to know if Debbie, no worries about the typo. I make typos all the time. She wants to know, is there, Chris Bajalian raving that there is both heart and horror. Debbie wants to know about the horror part. Let's talk about the horror.
The question is, Debbie, maybe you can tell me, so get ready to type. I don't know what horror is. I just write stories. I know that sound. I swear I'm not being coy. Like, I don't know what classifies as horror. It gets scary in the last third of the book. It gets really tense and really scary. But I don't know if that makes it horror or suspense. What technically is a horror book? I don't know. Debbie, do you know?
I am so glad you asked that because I have been wondering myself what that is, and I have felt too shy to ask. And so I have been meaning to look it up myself because so many people say that Stephen King writes in horror. I hosted Jennifer McMahon, who became a Goodreads best horror nominee, and I would have never thought that her book, which is about ghosts and this haunted this swimming pool and this property in Vermont, I would never have thought that that was horror. I don't think of ghosts as horror. I don't think of, I mean, I think it's just a great suspense story. So it is very interesting what constitutes horror. What do you think Chris Bajalian is talking about with the heart and the horror? Is it the horror of regrets, the the horror of lost love? Is that perhaps the scariest thing out
This
there?
is, well, it is very much a book about lost love.
Mm.
And weirdly, it has this, at the very last minute, it has a happy ending, which is was a very fun twist to do. But I guess, and Debbie, you can correct me, but I guess horror is when things get really dark and really scary. And there is a section toward the end of the book that does get incredibly, the last third gets incredibly tense and terrifying, as Laura Dave. And so maybe there is a little bit of horror. It's a mix of genres because it's really part character study, part thriller. It's, and then I guess, yeah, with a little bit of horror thrown in.
Do you worry about crossing genres? I think there's so many of us, I was reading something the other day and someone said, you know why John Grisham sold 50 million copies? Because when you buy a John Grisham, you're going to get a legal thriller and it's going to be, a variation on either the good guy with the bad guy, David versus Goliath, legal thriller, whatever. But so many of us don't want to write in the I look like I'm voguing, but in these boxes, we want to explore different genres, different subgenres. Did you feel that pressure or not so much?
I maybe I should write to one genre, but I've never just written what I felt compelled to write from my heart. I don't know. I believe you just write the best book you can, and then you leave it to the publisher to market. But I don't know. Maybe I should be more like John Grisham and write just whatever. But it's just not in me. I really pour my heart into my books, and so I put even little details in them from my own life. I mean, obviously, so much is fiction and made up, but I also pour personal things that have happened in all my books.
Mm.
And so I don't know that maybe someday I'll write to a genre, but right now I'm just kind of writing the best stories I want to write. So
Well, I think the reason people resonate so much with you and your books is because you are so real, you are authentic. And when you pour your heart into the book, that is received, even though it is from you many miles away through the many revisions and processes. When someone opens themselves in the authentic and open hearted way that you do, it is still felt. Um, by us as readers. So I think keep doing what you're doing, John, because clearly it's working.
I appreciate that.
Debbie is saying to her heart
Oh, thank
has got lots of gore and violence, blood, and
you.
harm to a person.
And in that
Fascinating.
case, no, because I don't really like gore. That's not
Yeah.
my thing. I mean, but it gets scary and tense, the climax of the book, but it's not gory. There's no
Mm.
gratuitous violence, no, but people are in peril and it gets tense and scary, but there's no gore and there's nothing like that. So it's very dramatic, I will say. How about that? Well, thank you, Shannon Hansen. I appreciate it.
Shannon says she is so excited for this book. Shannon, you are going to be so excited when you get your hands on this book. So I want to let y'all know this is a special pre-launch event. So this book is not even out yet. John is coming on to give us the exclusive inside scoop about this before the even book is out, because that's what we like to do here on Mystery and Thriller Ravens, is give you that first peek inside the book, first access to the author, a chance to chat. But the book is available for pre-order. So I'm popping the link in the comments right now. So pre-order the book tonight, and the good folks at Murder by the Book will put it in the mail to you the day that it comes out. So there it is for everyone to go and pre-order. Melissa is saying she loves to be captured straight away from page one, that first sentence. So it really, that unfortunate note has probably been one of the reasons for your success. John, let's talk about that note. If that would haunt me until the day I died, like that would.
Can I get it really quick? I think I have it. Hold
Yeah,
on.
yes, we want to see the note. Oh my God, who else is excited for the note? Hands up, right? Because so many of us, we have all been rejected in various ways, right? So let's see this.
Ready. First of all, I want to show you. I always wanted to be a writer since I was a little kid. I keep the note in this book. My mom had this book of wallpaper swatches. I thought these were beautiful. It's kind of ugly, but well, maybe
No,
it's.
they're beautiful.
And I would bind it with duct tape, fill it with construction paper, and then I would write stories. And then I would try to sell them to my family for 25 cents a story. Um, So these are my stories that I used to make these books all the time when I was little. But like my titles were like In Sugar Plum Land, Over the Rainbow. My parents were shocked they had a gay son. I don't know. I mean, it's falling apart. I shouldn't open it. Anyway, here's the letter. I keep it inside that book. See? People think I exaggerate. The book was called In Stones in the Airfield, and then it has a subscription, a summary of the plot. But there are so many typos and misspellings in this person's writing. But
So
I mean,
they're criticizing you, but they have typos.
yeah. See, look, I could barely. Where is it? I could barely make it to, and I feel really for and South. What does it say? And I feel really badly for anyone who has to go through to page 400. Their initials are EG. If anyone's watching this and your initials are EG, please message me immediately. No, but
Go on
like,
Twitter. He's waiting for your DMs. Slide into his DMs.
yeah, but I think actually what was it Melissa who made that comment that who
Melissa, yes, I'm going to pop
Melissa,
that back up so we can chat about it a little more.
true. It was a real learning lesson for me, a teachable moment. How about that? It was a teachable moment because I thought, okay, and that first book, looking back, I was figuring out how to write. I was really learning. And so I, ever since then, as I said, I never want anyone to have that experience. So all of my books start kind of with a bang, And this book, though, it starts with a bang. However, like I said, it's a lot of character work in the beginning that I hope will kind of dazzle and enchant the reader and get them intrigued. And then it becomes much more plotty in the second half. Um,
Ooh.
yeah. So I had a lot of fun writing it.
Well, we are having a lot of fun talking about it. Debbie says, "I am sold. I haven't read you before, and now I will. I will start with this." So I
Thank
just popped the link into the pre-order right into the comments. But I want to let everyone know that. So John is actually a best-selling author of many books. He was the best-selling author of "Boy Still Missing," "Strange but True," and many other titles as well. So I am actually going to pop the link into his backlist into the comments as well. So you don't have to wait until this comes out. You can grab John's backlist tonight. John, where should someone start with your writing?
I would say I'd love them to read Help for the Haunted and Strange but True and Her Last Affair. My first book, Boy Still Missing, though it did incredibly well at the time and I was proud of it, now I look back and I think, oh, there's stuff I would change, and I don't know. So I never recommend that book to people, even though people still write me and say they read it and like it. I feel like every book I try to improve, and that book I wrote a long time ago. So Strange but True, which was also, by the way, made into a film with an incredible cast. It's streaming right now on HBO Max. And the film, they veered off from the book. So it's an incredible cast, many terrific moments. I'm honored it was made. But I always think as the novelist, you think, well, the book is better. But the film has so many incredible scenes, and the acting is incredible. The cast is Brian Cox from Succession. If we're all watching Succession on HBO,
Yes.
if you watch Made on Netflix with Margaret Qualley and Nick Robinson, they're the two of the stars, and it's a great ensemble cast. Greg Kinnear, and then Amy Ryan, who I mentioned is doing this incredible launch event with me on March 22nd. And it is such a fantastic cast, and there's so many wonderful moments. And of course, Blythe Danner is in it as well. And so I would say read Strange but True first, and then watch the movie. And it's kind of fun to compare the parts they kept, the scenes they kept, and plus, I have a cameo in the film. So if you blink, you'll miss me, but you can see me in the film actually.
Oh my goodness, this is so exciting. And a cameo by John. Okay, so I am putting the link to these books in the comments, so you can grab John's backlist, and then you can also order you can also order Her Last Affair. Pre-order it now, and they'll send it out to you. Melissa's saying, "I'm going to order from Murder by the Book. Will they deliver to Australia?" Yes, they will, Melissa. Yes, they will. And thank you for supporting a woman-owned independent bookstore in America. We so appreciate you. That's amazing. Thank you. And as John said, we love indies. So So thank you for supporting. That's so wonderful. George is saying that is cheap. You should have asked for $1. You're going to need more ink. So instead of giving us the note, you should have charged us to look at the note. we can PayPal him later,
Yeah.
George. Shannon saying she loves it. What a keepsake.
Uh,
Absolutely.
I think sometimes when I tell stories, people think, "Oh, he's probably making that up." So I'm actually glad I had it to show you because it's real and it was devastating at the time. But I save it because, as Melissa said before, it really kind of just taught me a lesson.
Yes, absolutely. Another of my favorite authors, Emily Giffin, has on her website a rejection letter, the rejection letter that she got when her former agent, who was unable to sell her first book, sent her. She said she emailed the agent and said, "Any nibbles from publishers?" And the agent wrote back, "No, no one wants to buy your book, not even a nibble. Like this book is unsellable." Of course, Emily went on to become the #1 New York Times bestselling author of many books, but she has the screenshot. She has the screenshot of that rejection letter on her website, and that gives us all hope, right? Like seeing John's letter, seeing Emily's gives us all life. So thank you so much. Shannon says she wants to read Her Last Affair right now, John. We can't wait.
Thank you, Shannon. I will. I hope you will read it and write me. Actually, we're doing another thing I should tell you is we're on March 31st. We are doing something called "I Read It in a Week" book club hosted by Jodi Picoult. So it's a little more than a week after it comes out because we figured
Ooh.
there to get the book. But on March 31st, the "I Read It in a Week" book club, where anyone who gets it, pre-order it now, read it in a week, and then Jodi and I'll post on my Instagram, which is at John Searles, and my Facebook, which is an author page on Facebook, John Searles Author. I will post and I'll share with Sarah so you can update people too, however you update your community. It'll be a streaming event, and so it's going to be fun. I Read It in a Week book club.
Oh my gosh, what a fun and fabulous idea. Okay, so everybody pre-order the book tonight. I put the link in the comments, and then we will all buzz right through it because John is keeping us up, is going to keep us up as he likes to do. And then we will join John and the amazing Jodi Picoult to get the scoop with them. How fabulous. And I'm going to put the link as well to John's Twitter. Sharon says, that is so fun. I'm following. So everyone follow John here on Twitter.
Or Instagram, better on Instagram, which is at John Searles. I'm going to get better at tweeting too, which is at Searles Books. But yeah.
Yeah, I like Instagram too. Instagram's my favorite. I'll say it. So you prefer it as well, John?
I do. I just somehow do that more. I like Twitter when I go there, but I just can't keep up with doing all of them. But I'm trying to be better on Twitter. But my Instagram is at John Searles. So if you follow me there, I'm listing all the events, the event with Amy Ryan on March 22nd, the event with Jodi Picoult, the I Read It in a Week book club on March 31st, which will be really fun. And then some other exciting things. I have an essay coming out in the New York Times in 2 weeks that I would love to tell you about. Do you want to hear about it?
Yes, of course we want to hear about it.
It is called Confessions. Well, they might change the title. The New York Times always reserves the rights to it. It's called Confessions of a Wedding Hater. Because I have a confession, which is all my life, I hated going to weddings. I would get invited, I'd see that loopy scroll, and I would think, oh God, I have to go. And I start the essay by saying, if you're reading this and I attended your wedding, I want to apologize. And I say, like, don't worry, I didn't make out with the best man, although I might have wanted to. But I just my heart wasn't really in it, because it wasn't. However, the piece then, this past fall, my husband and I, after knowing each other for 25 years, we got married 25 years to the day we met. And I am now a convert. I completely love weddings. I'm such a sucker for them. I find them the most beautiful things in the world. And so the piece kind of is funny and lighthearted, but it also examines why for so long I kind of had an attitude about weddings. And it really was, I think, because as a gay man, for
You
so
were
many years,
excluded from them.
yeah, I could go and witness this momentous event in other people's lives, but I was not allowed to participate.
Yeah.
And then when gay marriage was passed, a lot of gay people rushed to get married, but I kind of had this attitude like, you can take your sacred institution. I don't want any part of it. But
Yeah.
so But then we got married, and it was just the sweetest thing. And so now I'm a convert. If you're watching this, invite me to your wedding. I'd love to come.
Yay. So since I first tuned in and met John on his event with Kate White and McKenna Jordan, the owner of Murder by the Book, I have been following your various exploits. John's dog, Ruby, is also on Instagram on, oh my God, it's Ruby. Ruby is the cutest dog except for Pelu in the world. And my little Pelu. So I was following along as you posted about your wedding, as you posted your flowers, and you posted, your heartfelt ceremony and what it meant. And it was so heartfilling to see you two take the official institutional plunge after 25 years of being together. It's been so lovely. And so it's so cool to get the inside scoop on your forthcoming New York Times editorial, and why you were a wedding hater. Very, very exciting. Thank you for that.
Yes, I will post that. And I'll post, like I said, the thing with a Jodi Picoult that I read at a week book club, Amy Ryan event, all those events I will share. And I just, I'm so grateful because I take another thing I don't do. I don't write to a genre, but I also don't write a book a year, which writers are, they really want you to write a book a year. That I have not done that. Partly because while I was writing Her Last Affair, our apartment burned down. An arsonist burned our apartment down, and then fled the country, because that's what you do when you burn someone's apartment down. You
Oh my
flee the country.
God.
So we were bounced around. We were homeless for a bit, like living in hotels and people's spare bedrooms and things. And so I oftentimes would write this book like in the bathroom at night of like a friend's house. So it took me a little bit longer. And also I had my, I was an editor at a magazine for many years. So I'm so grateful when I have a book come out to come on a show like this and chat with you, Sara, and to hear from readers and people excited about the book who say, I'm going to get it, because I don't do that. I haven't that every year thing that so many writers do. So I'm really grateful to people like Melissa and Shannon and who say they're going to get it. And so thank you.
Oh my God. First of all, I'm so sorry that someone burned down your apartment. How shocking. I'm still processing that. Oh my God. Wow.
It was the craziest time, but I now try to tell it in a funny way. So it's kind of.
Ooh. Good question from Debbie. She wants to know, are the books going to be signed, John, or do you have signed book plates?
So the books from Murder, so from McKenna's store, I emailed McKenna asking her if she wants to participate in the Amy Ryan event. I haven't heard back yet. So I don't mean to speak for McKenna, but however, if McKenna wants to be a part of it, we can arrange signed books for the store, which I'm sure she would be. This all came together very last minute. So if you order, I will find some way to get you a book plate or a signed book. And I'll talk to McKenna about it, and I'm sure you will too, Sara. We'll figure it out. So thank you, Debbie.
Absolutely, absolutely. And if we, if for whatever reason, because I know it's hard to run a small business in these always, but especially during a pandemic. So if for any reason they can't do it for capacity issues, and I have no idea if they can or not, because we actually are totally separate brands, just collaborating in this special partnership. I can also arrange with John. I'm in touch with John. So I have some really cool bookmarks. So I'll make it happen for you, Debbie. Just DM me on Facebook, Instagram, or Twitter, and I will make it happen for you. Although I'm sure McKenna and John we're going to get you that signed book, because I like my book signed too. And I know the value of that. So we're going to make it happen. Shannon said she's definitely getting the book. Debbie's saying maybe a jealous writer burned your place down. John, could be. It could be. Shannon's saying she would love to make it to the fun future events. Yay, Shannon, we will see you there. That sounds fabulous. So John, in your chat is also wondering about book plates. Yay, so many. We like a signed book, right? We want that personal connection. That's why we're here for.
So I'll figure out how to get it between Sara and I, McKenna can figure out how to get some signed book plates to you. I'll mail them myself. So thank you.
Yay. All right. We're going to get it done. Debbie saying thank you. Perfect. Now, John, in your former incarnation, you are a books editor at Cosmo Magazine. Let's talk about that a little. So how did that inform your writing? Did that help you to write these love scenes? Did it help you to be a tighter writer, since, you don't have 80,000, 100,000 words in a magazine. How did it help you? Or give us the skinny on that.
Well, I always joke when people find out I'm an editor at Cosmo, they always expect more cleavage and like sex and relationship advice and beauty tips floating around my head. Um, but I started, as I said, basically like an intern, assistant in the books department, opening packages, and I worked my way up, and I became the books editor. But then I had many positions there. I was the brand director at one point. I was a deputy editor. I was an articles editor, but I always was the books editor. I always kept that part of my job because I love books and I'm a writer. It was the most fun job. The magazine was filled with such smart, interesting women. I grew up, really, my dad was a truck driver and he was gone all the time. And my older brother was really kind of into sports and cars and doing his thing. So he was off. So I was really home with my mom and my two younger sisters all the time. So I grew up in a house surrounded by women. And then growing up, I didn't really fit in with the boys who played football and stuff in my school. So I always hung out with the girls. So growing up and then landing in a women's magazine in an office full of smart women, I was in heaven. So we had so much fun. We had so many great laughs. And I know everyone knows Cosmo from the outlandish cover lines. And of course, those are part of it. But when you would open Cosmo, it was such a hugely successful magazine at the time.
Yeah.
It was so thick. There were also financial advice, health advice, fitness advice, so there were a lot of great parts to Cosmo too, in addition to the kind of silly, outrageous stuff that we know Cosmo for. And
I'm a proud Cosmo girl. I loved that magazine, and I was empowered by it and inspired by it and learned so much from it. I love it.
Yeah, it was pardon me, it was just a great gig. And then when I started writing books and selling books, people said, well, aren't you going to quit and write your books? And it was, I grew up in a house. As I said, my dad was a truck driver. There were 4 of us kids, 2 bedrooms, dogs, cats, fish, and my grandfather in this teeny little house. And so I grew up in a house with not a ton of money. And so suddenly I was like living in New York City and had this really fun job at a women's magazine that I just kind of happened into. And I was writing books and I just wanted to do both at once. So I did Cosmo. I was an editor there for 20 plus years. And it afforded me so many great opportunities and so many funny memories. And there are a million stories I could tell from my time there.
Well, we are going to need to at least hear the story of your days at Cosmo when you went to lunch with Jackie Collins. There was creme brulee, Marlon Brando. John, the story gives me life. Take it away.
Well, what's funny is we did that event with Kate White, Kate White was the editor-in-chief of Cosmo for many years. I actually had worked there before her, and then she came on and I stayed, and she is just one of my dearest friends, and she's such a brilliant magazine editor and a great mystery writer. And so we did the event with you, or with McKenna rather. Someone asked, which writer who's no longer living would you like to have dinner with? And I think Kate said Shakespeare.
Kate said Shakespeare, and you said Jackie Collins.
On purpose, I just said Jackie Collins. I don't know. I just wanted to be contrarian or something. I don't know why. So, but actually, Jackie Collins, when she used to come to town, we would have lunch sometimes. And she was such a fun lunch date. She was so full of good stories and just such a great sense of humor and wit. And so I think the very first time we were at lunch, she ordered creme brulee for dessert. And I don't know why. Sometimes I just, Thomas, my husband, tells me sometimes, like, stop, you say too much, or you ask too many questions. So he says to me, I over question people sometimes. But I'm curious. So I couldn't help it. She ordered creme brulee and I said, oh, the night I lost my virginity was the first time I ever had creme brulee. I know that's probably not appropriate. I'm sorry, everyone. I'm weird. And she said, oh, who was it to or something? She asked me, and I said it was my girlfriend and whatever years ago. And I said, well, how about you? And she said, when did you? It was Jackie Collins. We started talking about losing our virginity. And she was very candid about it. So she said, I remember I was a wild child from London. I swept into Los Angeles, and there he was across a crowded room, Marlon Brando. Like, Marlon Brando, you lost your virginity to Marlon Brando? And then I kept in that way I have. I kept asking questions because she said, I just remember it was animal. It was animal. It was an animal attraction. And I don't know. It just went on and on from there. And I came home and she was like, I don't know. I had this lunch today. I heard about Jackie and Marlon. I don't know. It was just hilarious. So there you go.
So creme brulee has always been my favorite dessert. And as soon I laughed about that story for a week. And now every time I have creme brulee, I think of you and Jackie Collins and Marlon Brando. And I think of that lunch, and my creme brulee just got so much better. Oh my gosh. John, you are fabulous. You are so
Oh,
fun. You are so fabulous. I just adore you. Everybody, thank you.
useful.
Yay.
Mhm.
Everybody, thank you so much for joining us for this extremely special pre-launch event here tonight with John, where we got the scoop on so much, but on her last affair. So grab that book tonight. Pre-order the book tonight, everybody. And the good folks at Murder by the Book, McKenna, John, Sally, and the rest of the team will mail it out to you the day that it becomes available, and you too can learn about love and that crazy twist that Chris Bajalian and Laura Dave have told us about. George saying thank you, John and Sarah. I live for these. Thank you, George. Shannon saying she loves that story. Shannon, how great is that story? Melissa saying, thank you, John. So great to meet you. Melissa, good day, mate. That's my best Australian. That was terrible. I'm sorry.
That's good.
I used to live in Australia. I can do better than that, John. You guys, thank you so much for joining us, and make sure you grab that book tonight. Debbie, sorry, I missed your question. Will some of your stories from Cosmo get slipped into your books?
Actually, some are slipped into her last affair. You'll see there's a mention of a person. Well, I don't want to say, but there's a moment in the book where it directly channels some Cosmo stuff. So you'll recognize it when you see it.
Okay. Well, okay, everybody. If you're not already a member of the Mystery and Thriller Mavens Facebook group, join the Facebook group now, so that when you read it, we can dish about this book, because that's where the good stuff goes down. So I just popped the link into the comments. So grab your copy of the book, join the Facebook group, and we will continue the conversation, dishing all the delicious dirt over there. All right, everybody. I'll be back at the top of the hour with Rhea Fry. Thanks so much for hanging today on Mystery Monday, because Mondays can be murder.